90% of the time, you're gonna get some kind of feedback or flap, I guess my dad would say. So you'd get some flap, and they would maybe say, "Oh, I didn't do it. That was so and so. She did it first," or whatever that the back talk is. And in the classroom, we say that it takes one fool to give back talk, and it takes two fools to make a conversation out of it.
Hi, this is Paul at School Bus Talk. On this episode of School Bus Talk, I'm going to do something a little bit different, a podcast. My guest today is Ed Costello. Ed is a retired educator with 30 years experience teaching middle schoolers and middle grades. Ed and I went on vacation this last summer, and on a beach in Oregon, we had a terrific discussion about how middle schoolers and middle grade kids behave and how to manage their behavior. So I thought I'd bring this to the school bus drivers out there for some tips and hints how to manage this challenging age group.
Ed, it's great talking to you on Zoom. Oh my gosh. We've known each other for so long, I think like 30 years, and we're doing a Zoom call together on School Bus Talk. And this idea came after our vacation where we were on the beach in Oregon and talking about how school kids develop, especially middle schoolers. And you just had so much excellent insight. I thought it would be great to do a Zoom call for school bus drivers out there to learn how to be better managers and instructors and drivers for middle schoolers. So, can you kind of tell our audience what your background is that makes you an expert?
Yeah, you betcha. Thank you, Paul. I am retired, and this is my fourth year out of the classroom for my wife, my wife and I. And I started in the middle school and loved it. I thought it was a hoot, better than a cup of coffee. And then I settled into fourth, fifth, and sixth grade in the elementary school. And oh man, I miss it. I do miss the kids and all of the back and forth and the creating lessons and getting everybody going in the same direction. What a wonderful feeling. I loved it.
So, Ed, from your experience in the classroom, are there any lessons or things that you might be able to share with school bus drivers that would be helpful for us?
Well, sure. We were talking about this on the beach, huh? So middle school and upper grade kids, I would like to throw those fourth, fifth, and sixth graders in the group as well. Can be challenging. They think for themselves, and they think quick, and depending on who they are and where they're coming from, it can be a little intense sometimes. Confrontational, I guess, is the right way to say it. So my goal here is just to make sure that we take care of ourselves first. That
Right.
I think
Okay.
is the whole point here. Just
Because I guess the point is that if we can't take care of ourselves, how are we going to work with the children? We can't be stressed out and off our game with the children. So it's about yourself first and then the kids.
correct.
Right. So from your experience in the classroom, what are some techniques that we might be able to use as school bus drivers?
All right. So in the classroom, it's much different, I'm sure. You have all day to hang out with kids and get to know them, and by Halloween, everything's going in a pretty good direction. In a school bus, obviously, you're behind the wheel, and that's confining. And you only see the kids briefly, and maybe in the morning and again in the afternoon, and that's it. And you get a little glimpse of how each kid operates and everything. In the classroom, we say that instruction is fast and discipline is slow. So I think you need to think about what battles you're gonna fight. Like when you see something that you feel needs limit setting, um, it's important, I think, to choose your battles. Like, instead of like barking at every little thing that happens on the bus, and by the end of the day, you'd be completely frazzled. Uh, I think, but you do have a line, need to have a line on your bus, like, and in your mind, like, this is what's acceptable. And when somebody crosses that line, what do you do about it? And that's limit setting. So the first step is to get the student's attention and to say their name in a real neutral tone. Just said that makes you, I guess you would look up in the rearview mirror or something.
Right, exactly.
And yeah, or you maybe even wait until they're walking past you, getting off the bus, or whatever your style, whatever, however you do it in a neutral way and take care of yourself first. So make sure that you take a couple of deep breaths and like that you're calm and relaxed. There's this goofy thing where we used to do this thing called check your jaw, like if your jaw's all clenched and everything, everybody can see exactly.
All
You
right.
could see the muscles in your jaw if you're like all clenched up. So that we would say check your jaw means to run your tongue across the roof of your mouth. And if you can do that,
Excellent.
then you are not clenching your jaw.
Right, right. So, so a limit setting. I mean, you brought that up, but in a practical way do we use limit setting on
Okay.
the bus?
So we were talking about this on the beach too. It's kind of like a card game, and all the kids are aware of this game. They've been watching the game between adults and kids, troublemakers, maybe whatever, since
And it doesn't
kindergarten,
matter if it's a
right?
teach all adults, right?
Yeah,
Parents,
yeah,
teachers, everybody.
exactly. Yeah, experienced it as dad and grandfather, maybe a little bit too recently. So
Right,
it goes like this: a student crosses the line and you determine you're going to go into the limit setting mode. You've gotten their attention. That is the first bet on the table. You've said their name in a neutral tone. And 90% of the time, you're going to get some kind of feedback or flap, I guess my dad would say. So you get some flap and they would maybe say, "Oh, I didn't do it. That was so and so. She did it first," or whatever that the back talk is. And in the classroom, we say that it takes one fool to give back talk, and it takes two fools to make a conversation out of it.
right,
So just very calmly pause and be like a broken record and say your short declarative sentence one more time. Like, I need you to keep your hands inside the bus. Thank you. And then they might go back so that then the bet is on the table again. And it might go back and forth a few times and just be that broken record. If in doubt, don't say anything. Like if you get kind of flustered, just stand there and or sit there at the and don't try not to make a conversation out of the back and forth.
right. Okay. All right. Well, so one of the things that happens on the bus is you know, it's really hard to have a private conversation, right? We're in a
Yes.
huge steel tube together. So I mean, one of the things that I try is I ask the child to get off the bus last, so they
Yes.
can have a private conversation with them. Call them up to the driver's compartment as they're getting off the bus, and then a lot of times I might turn up the radio because I always play the radio with music on the bus for the kids, so it's more of a private conversation.
Yeah.
But it can be tricky on the bus because
Yeah.
everybody's there,
Yes.
right?
And
So
everybody's watching.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah. So
Well,
that is a good point, Paul. To do it, try to this interaction that the limit setting interaction. It is real important to try and do this privately, if possible. If you call a kid out in front of their friends and shame them, then chances are it's going to come back at you. They'll pull it again the next soon. Like I've seen that many times. It's important to do the limit setting privately. and respect them, right? They messed up. I've always
Right.
kind of thought that it's important that if a kid has kind of they've messed up and they're in a corner, say, right? And it's important that they can work their way back out of that corner with good behavior, like the next day. Like you wouldn't want to come back and like try to repeat the limit setting the next day, or bring it up again. The next day is a new day, you
Right.
know?
Well, two things. I want to talk about the next day in a second, but one thing that I want to bring up is one thing is I always try to give the child an opportunity to apologize.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
And it doesn't happen much because saying you're sorry, I mean, a lot of adults don't know
Yeah.
how to do that, right? But I always try to give the child something. Is there something you want to say? Right. And, and sometimes it can be a real golden moment. The child says, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. They were having a bad day. And I mean, we all have bad days, right? I mean, and they apologize. And that's a real golden moment. And the next thing is but the next time you see the child, what's your, like, it's the next day or it's this happened on the morning route and it's the afternoon route, or it's the next pickup the next day. What's your
Yeah.
advice on the next day?
Keep the line of communication open and let them know, and without even saying it, I'll just like greeting a student and say, "Hey, how's it going? How was your day?" Just real short, quick. Let them know that no, we're not going to rehash what happened this morning or yesterday, and don't need to do that. We already went through that. We kind of closed that book, right? Hopefully, and yeah, it respects it. It's also like opens a. It's like good communication. It's in the end, like long term, you know, that might be the kid that you talk to the most throughout the school year on as they walk by, and hey Paul, how
Clean.
you doing? And
Give
that's
the
good stuff.
student, like you said, an opportunity for a way out, a clean slate.
Yeah.
One thing I do though is if I do have that interaction, I do make a note of it in my notebook. I keep a little
Okay.
notebook. I mean, so that it doesn't go away. It's just the interaction with the student is, a clean slate the next day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, so this all sounds good and it's really helpful, I think, but there's certain stuff that these techniques, certain behavior the students might have that these techniques don't work for, right? I mean,
Okay, so in the classroom, we would call this like what we're getting into here is like a non-example. So that again, you've picked your battle and you've decided to do limit setting. What we're not talking about here is something that breaks the ed code. If somebody's bullying or there's a fight, if there's violence, if there's sexual harassment, or that that's breaking the ed code. And
when you
what
say
we're
ed code, you mean education code, right?
yeah, exactly. Thank you. There's every county has educational codes, school districts do, and as well does the Fed at a federal level. So, um, yeah, we're not talking about that. That hopefully your school district has protocol, a process of what happens if there's a fight or there's sexual harassment or some ugly bullying incident. And
Anything that has to do with assault or violence,
yeah,
bullying,
that's a whole
any
different,
any kind of
yeah,
any kind of racial comments or anything like that. That's at a different
yeah,
level, right?
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I can
Not
see that
talking
because
about
in
that.
the district that I work at, there is a process of written citations, referrals, violations, and that process is really in writing and understood. And students that do that type of behavior, there's a separate process for that. that is really, and it goes beyond the bus driver. It immediately goes up to the supervisor or to the school principal if there's that type of behavior on the bus. But
Yeah.
that these techniques you're talking about, they can help us with that, right? But they're not that this is not these are not the techniques that are used for those violations of the education code. So
I would think that you would still want to remain calm and neutral and not raise your voice and uh, be aggressive in any way. That would not help an educational code violation. Just take care of yourself first, right? Like
right.
that's the whole point here. So,
Yeah, got it. So this issue is so huge and complex. I mean, you spent your entire career working on this, and I'm sure there's psychologists and educational specialists that spend their whole lives working on this. And as we kind of wrap up this podcast, are there any final kind of tips and hints that you might want to share with school bus drivers? That
yeah, sure. The again, like I said, that when a student blows it and they've crossed the line and you've gone, hopefully you've handled it in a patient way and your limit setting was successful. That in the end, um, it's important to have, I think everybody has a right to have the best day possible. It's always told my students, like, I think every single one of you has the opportunity every single day to have the best day at school ever, ever, ever. And if somebody gets in the way of that, I'm your man. I want to be there and like help you through that and make sure that you have the best day possible. Well, the adult has that right as well. Like, I really feel like when we're outnumbered by kids so much of the time, that it feels like we are working for them in a way, like we bend over backwards to like adjust to their wave of energy and the behavior and everything. And I think we sometimes lose track of the fact that we have a right to have a good day too, and that they really do work for us. Like you have rules on your bus. You need to wear your seatbelt. You need to get there safely. You need to stay in your seat. You keep your hands in the bus and all that. And that
well,
if,
I think that's
go
really
ahead.
a good point because one thing I just thought of is that that bus driver is probably might be short of their parents is the first adult some of those kids are going to see that day, right?
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
And so it's really important for that bus driver to you know get the day going good,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And take care of themselves. And at the end of the day, the bus driver is probably the last person from the school
yeah,
that the child sees.
yeah.
So those are really good points. Well, I'm gonna let's kind of wrap this thing up. I don't know how this podcast is going to go, Ed, but thank you for taking the time and coming on School Bus Talk and sharing your experience with us. And if we, as the audience puts down some good questions, maybe or comments when we put up this podcast, maybe we'll be able to come back and have another discussion about some more specifics if our viewers have some good questions. But again, I just want to thank you,
Okay.
and I hope we get to go on vacation soon and get some sand in our toes because we just I learned a lot from you, old friend. I've learned a lot from
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for including me on School Bus Talk. I really do look forward to your clips on YouTube. I do. I enjoy it.
All
Even
right.
if it's kind of a sad subject. I look forward to it.
Well, yeah, I know. I do cover some bus wrecks and stuff like that, but I do that because I want us to be better, safer drivers and stuff. So, all right, I appreciate you, old friend. Have a good day, and we'll be talking soon.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
All right,
Bye bye.
bye.